never slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow.
The past is gone. Now's the future.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the Weekly Review. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me as always, throw it up, there it is, congratulations, LA Dodgers, the one, the only, RWT Deadman himself, Mr. Paul Morales. How are you, Paul?
I'm doing well, Mr. Michael Larkin. How are you, sir?
I am good, and back once again. This is going to be permanent now. We are now a three-man team. My co-host on Uncaged, and happy to have him a part of this great team, Daniel Crimmins. Welcome back, man.
Yeet.
We are back, and we are better than ever.
Exactly, man. You know,
those are the only lyrics I know of that entrance music.
We are officially a tripod.
Yes, we are. And yes, the other lyrics got a knack for making things better. Face facts, because your opinion don't matter. He's a maniac, going to step on whoever. Eric Bischoff, baby.
God damn it. All right, okay, show's over. Okay, bye.
No. I think what a better way to start the show with some news, and here we go. Nakamura returns to Japan on January 1st for Pro Wrestling Noah. How awesome is that to see Nakamura back once more for Pro Wrestling Noah in January?
You know what? This is awesome, man. I mean, he gets to do what he wants to do, you know, and he wanted to do more stuff outside of WWE. Yeah. And plus, it gets him out there, you know. He's not just stuck doing nothing right now because they have nothing for him. So I'm glad Triple H has this working relationship with Pro Wrestling Noah.
So let's say it like this. Daniel, what do you think about Nakamura going back to Noah? And as well, we're going to see a lot more of the WWE styles in Japan, like we saw at Pro Wrestling Noah, doing the tournament featuring guys like Tavian Heights and many guys from NXT, Josh Briggs. Like, it's great to see more of them going to Noah now.
Oh, yeah. You know, and I think, you know, with the NXT guys going on, I know Charlie Dempsey,
yep,
you know, went over to Japan, and you can only get better. You know, when you're exposed to different styles, you can only get better.
It reminds me of when a lot of the guys back in WWE would get released, and then they would go to a Pro Wrestling Noah, or they would go to the 01s, or they would go to New Japan or All Japan. That's what it reminds me of, but they're not getting released. They're actually working with the companies, which is nice. Because if this was Vince, they would get released, and then they would go to Japan. You know?
Yeah, that's why I said it's good that they have a working relationship with other companies. This way, you know, they can explore other stuff and still get out there to go do. And, you know, when you don't have anything for them, it's good that they can go somewhere else and, you know, work for other companies. You know, it makes a strong bond for between the companies. So kudos to him for going out there and doing that.
Speaking of strong bonds, and we talk about creative side of things, and you mentioned new companies, we're going to read this excerpt, but Bobby Lashley has officially made his AEW debut on this past Dynamite, taking out Swerve Strickland. The Hurt Syndicate is back in business, so to speak, and Bobby Lashley recently did a podcast with the Lame Guys podcast, and he was talking about, he had some ideas for a potential feud with one Gunther, and he said, and I quote, "When Gunther was rolling, there was one thing I wanted to do with him," and everybody would have been like, oh, if we were still the Hurt business, I was like, I want to roll up on him, and I want Gunther to say, people like you don't deserve a chance at my title. People would have been like, what did he say? He would have towed the line. If you think about the German and these black dudes, is there a little bit of racial tension there? We didn't have to go there. What do you mean by people like you? He could be like older guys in wrestling. The crowd would have been like, did he just say that? Then I was going to say, I think you look familiar, and do one of these, holds his thumb to his top lip indicating a mustache. There it is. I don't know if we could have went there, but if we could have, there are so many things you could toe the line with there, and it could have been a huge feud. No. This is not Triple H and Booker T from WrestleMania 19 going towards you people. No, we're not doing that in 2024, Bobby. We're not doing that in 2024. This is why nobody gave you the creative booking, okay? Let you do your own creative. This is why MVP's with chat, okay? No, Bobby, no. And I can see Dan shaking his head. Before we get to Paul, Dan, go ahead. Go ahead.
You know, look at this pragmatically. From the corporate side of it, this would have been a PR nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
Sponsors, if that had happened, sponsors would have flipped. You know, they would not have been happy with that. Now, honestly, do I think Vince would have booked that? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Honestly, if Vince were running the show still, he would probably have Gunther goose-stepping down to the ring every week.
Like JBL and The Undertaker back in Germany in 2004.
Where Bradshaw almost got arrested.
Almost got killed. Yep.
In freaking Munich, of all places.
In Munich, Germany. Yep. Oh, but it got heat. That's not the point, Bradshaw.
And I'll say it. Like, the problem with all this is Lashley is in the past. Like, WWE is going more on the youthful side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is Lashley impressive in the ring? Yeah. Yeah. But mic skill-wise,
my thing with Bobby
the
Lashley,
exact same in AEW. It's going to be the same thing. And, you know, eventually Tony Khan's just going to be like, you know, these, whenever he signs someone, it's like, and you guys know, when you're a kid and you get a new toy, you know, you play with your toy for a while and then you're just like, I'm bored with it.
Well, I think with Bobby Lashley, too, is you talk about, like, the youth movement and him just going to AEW. I'm like, my personal opinion, and I think you guys can agree with this, it's like, why do I need Bobby Lashley when I got Obafemi? Like seriously, I got Obafemi doing the damn thing who's big, much like Bobby, and he's younger. Like, why do I need a Bobby Lashley when I got Obafemi? And I'm with you. I mean, he's
a guy who's pushing 50.
A guy who's pushing 50, yes. And again, Bobby Lashley, tremendous, looks amazing for his age. Oh, yeah. But again, the youth has not on his side. So, Paul Morales, your thoughts on this Bobby Lashley, Gunther, overall creativity?
You have a powerhouse Hobbs,
yes,
in that company.
Yes, you do.
Who is young, agile, much like how Bobby Lashley used to be.
Correct.
You know, and that dude can crush it. If given the opportunity, that dude can crush it.
Exactly.
Brian Cage, another big guy who you have in your company, who can go out there and work with little guys, like smaller wrestlers. You have these guys that are there and you're not utilizing them. Why did TK feel the need that he had to have Bobby Lashley? I think it was more so that promo that fucking goddamn it.
Who's that?
MVP. Sorry, my bad.
That's okay.
The promo that MVP had at fucking GCW when he was talking shit about Triple H, when he was talking shit about WWE and everything that he didn't get, that now that his contract was over, now he can go out and do pretty much do anything he wanted and say anything he wanted, whatever. But he was mad. He lashed out. And now we got the Hurt Syndicate, aka the Hurt Business in AEW. Why?
Because we're going to do it right this time, and we get more creative freedom
for the sickos.
For the sickos, don't you understand?
Those people.
It is what it is. And I mean, I look at it from a standstill like this. We do have Full Gear to predict in a few weeks, and one of the matches that was announced to Full Gear, as it is going to be on the 0 hour, is what we're going to watch here. Big Boom AJ, who used to wrestle as the American Power Child Eric Justice on the indie scene in New Jersey until 2005, and he did a couple of one-offs in 2019 and 2021. His real name is AJ Bafumo, taking on QT Marshall, one half of the Costco guys with his youngin', doing their thing on TikTok. So we're going to get some mainstream stuff with TikTok. This is how this match came to be, and then we're going to play AJ's appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon promoting this. So finally, like we've said many a times, how WWE does so many talk shows and whatnot, this is finally how you do stuff, Tony, and get people out there to promote your shows, Tony, not just bust it open and all these things, which is great, but actually have mainstream experience. So
yeah, you don't depend on Dave Meltzer to
we're gonna get to him. We're gonna get to Dave. So here's how this match came together. Here's QT Marshall.
Fuck Dave Meltzer.
Fuck him.
My best friend Tony Khan has made it official. Signed, sealed, delivered. You wanted to face me, Prudential Center, Full Gear, November 23rd, 2024. And you wanted to do this for free on the 0 hour in front of all your friends and family. Well, AJ, just because you think that New Jersey is your hometown, I got another thing coming for you. New Jersey, I was born. New Jersey, I was raised. And in New Jersey, at Full Gear, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to embarrass you. I'm going to prove to you that 20 years ago, when you walked away from professional wrestling and passed the torch to me, QT Marshall, you made the absolute right decision of your life. And I'm going to send you back to TikTok land. I'm going to embarrass you in front of your friends, your family, in front of Big Justice. Because, AJ, you're going to bring the boom, but QT Marshall is going to bring the doom.
And there is the graphic of Big Boom AJ against QT Marshall. Oh boy, are you not excited? So then we get we get him on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Here we go.
You got something big coming up that you're returning to wrestling. Tell me about
I am returning to wrestling. I'm coming back to bring the boom. So, Jimmy, I am very grateful. I will be wrestling for All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah.
And
where will you be?
Yep, it's going to be November 23rd. It's going to be at the Prudential Center right down the road in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I will be taking on QT Marshall. And Big Justice is going to be in my corner. And Big Justice, we're going to bring the...
All right, good.
You can look at that, and Jimmy Fallon's like, what the hell is an AEW? But I just want to put that to the forefront because he's looking like, what the fuck is AEW? So, Paul, I'll let you start on this one. Your thoughts on Big AJ Boom. And
the irony is that it's on NBC, and where does WWE fucking show their shit on?
NBC.
NBC, Peacock.
Yep.
You know, and that's why it was just kind of weird, and you could see Jimmy's face. Jimmy's face was like, what the hell is AEW? And Jimmy's not a wrestling fan. Jimmy is not a wrestling fan.
Not at all.
Not one near bone in his body is he a wrestling fan. But, you know, having The Rock on there, having Roman Reigns on there, having John Cena on there, he knows who they are. He knows that they're wrestlers, obviously. But Jimmy Fallon is not a wrestling fan. So this whole thing was just kind of like, I got you on here, cool, promote what you're going to promote. Okay, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that's how it felt, what it felt like to me. And what do you guys think of how we're getting the mainstream, I guess, the TikToker, former professional wrestler from the mid-2000s on the independent circuit in the Northeast on New Jersey? So, Dan, I got to ask you, Big Boom AJ and QT Marshall, your thoughts, and what do you think of how it was on Jimmy Fallon?
You know, I will give Tony credit where credit is due. You know, trying different things to reach out mainstream because, you know, this niche audience, the sickos, as he likes to pitch to, is only going to get you so far. You know, you look at what WWE has done. You know, when you had, and Mike, I'm going to reference our show where we talked about the best guest appearances.
Yes.
You know,
go back and watch that.
They had reached out to Snooki. They had other people that were mainstream. Hell, you had Logan Paul, who had a significant run as a U.S. champion.
Yeah, I mean,
who's got the money? Like, reach out to somebody that more people know. Not just like, hey, isn't that guy on TikTok?
Yeah, and I mean, Logan Paul comes from doing the boxing stuff with Floyd Mayweather and being the YouTuber. I mean, a lot of the stuff, I think he's a jackass, but he put in the work and is very much lived up to the potential, lived up to the hype of his WWE tenure. But this guy, I mean, from what he did in like them early 2000s to mid 2000s on the indies, And a lot, I mean, I get it. He's local. He's New Jersey, same with QT Marshall, but not a lot of guys know him. I mean, you hype him for the TikTok guy that he is, the Costco guy, but you couldn't get. We touch upon this a lot. And Paul Morales, I'm going to quote you like we touched about last show. You couldn't give me like a video package of who this guy was from the Indies, like have any photos, anything like he was Wild Power, Wild Child, whatever, Eric Justice. Like we couldn't see like photos or something like that. Oh, I used to be a wrestler. But no, it's just like, oh, here's this guy from TikTok with his kid, and he's going to face QT Marshall in the 0 hour.
They had Shaq there.
They did
for maybe a fart in the wind.
Yes,
they had Snoop Dogg there for about a fart in the wind.
Yep,
and then
Tyson.
That was it. That was it. I mean, it's like literally you had one match with Shaq, you had Snoop Dogg make a couple of appearances, and then that was it.
Well, you had Mike Tyson, like Dan mentioned.
Oh, and then you had Mike Tyson there, but again, fart in the wind. You know, that's
Nobody
literally
remembers
that's that. And does anybody remember that? Okay, I remember Shaq because he fell through a table. I remember Snoop Dogg just walking down the aisle, but that was about it.
And the frog splash.
And the frog splash. Sorry, but
the weirdest
and that weird ass frog splash. Like he was like, you know, Eddie Guerrero, woohoo, you know, I did a frog splash. Okay. But it's like you didn't continue on with that. You didn't continue on promoting, you know, having those people there, you know, because that could have been a draw for even for WWE fans. Again, we were going back to Tony Khan does not know how to promote his company. He may be a promoter, but he does not know how to promote his company whatsoever.
I mean, I know we're talking about him earlier, but towards the end of the show, we're going to talk about NXT and AEW and what we got coming up this week. But I look at it like this. Like, if you look at the full gear card right now, it's Big Boom AJ and QT Marshall on the pre-show. You have MJF against Adam Cole or Roderick Strong. And again, we go back to the same trope of, you know, win 3 matches and then you get to face me. Jay White and Hangman Page in the rematch, Private Party in a Fatal 4-Way tag match for the World Tag Titles, Mercedes Moné and Chris Statlander, who randomly turned babyface for the TBS Championship, and Moxley and Orange Cassidy for the AEW World's Heavyweight Championship. That card does not make me want to go, man, I need to drop 50 bones for this, to put it in the bluntest of terms. That does not make me want to drop 50 bones for this. We talk about emotional investment as a whole. None of this is saying, man, I really got to see full gear from the Prudential Center in New Jersey. And personally, I don't want to go to Newark. I've been to Newark. I hate Newark. And I don't mean to say that as a Northeastern, but it's not a nice.
No, we do.
All right. Dan'll be the blunt one. I will say this. Y'all don't want to go to Newark at fucking 11 o'clock at night. You don't want to be about that life at 11 o'clock at night. No.
Thug life.
But no.
To build on that, there are certain areas in the New York metropolitan area that once the lights go down, Yankee Stadium,
no.
Newark,
I mean, I'll do it where I grew up. I grew up on Long Island. I grew up East Islip and Islip Terrace, and Central Islip was a town over. You don't want to be at Central Islip at 11 o'clock at night. Fuck no. That's the worst of it.
You don't want to be in Watts. You don't want to be in Compton. You don't want to be in South Central LA. You don't want to be in the south side of Santa Ana. You don't. Believe me, I can continue on. You don't want to be in Pacoima where my wife is from. You don't want to be in Pacoima after 11 o'clock. There, you don't want to be You don't want to be in San Fernando after 11 p.m. Believe me, I can continue to keep going because I know all of LA. Believe me, I can list off places where you don't want to be.
Yeah,
and that's just the thing, though, is that it's just that. There are places you don't want to be after midnight.
And speaking of places you don't want to be, we are now going to get into the Uncle Dave portion before we preview next week's this is Wednesday's, the battle between NXT and WWE and everything in the news and notes. But it's that time for the Uncle Dave portion of the show. 2 things from Uncle Dave this week, 1 recent, and this is 1 from last week. So Uncle Dave did it again. So as we know, the ratings of last week, 588,000 due to the World Series and due to everything that's been going on for NXT on the CW. And last week, AEW drew 628,000 with 0.19 in the demo. So Dave Meltzer, because he has to keep that energy for AEW, rating was 628K/0.19 in the demo. Considering the World Series number at more than 18 million, I consider this very good. Dave, I hate to tell you this, but 628K is not a good number, like at all. You got to stop this with, but it's okay because it's AEW. Again, the bias is showing, number one, but number two, Dave, shut your punk ass mouth. Paul Morales, go ahead.
Dave has this constant hard-on for numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people can't just watch wrestling, but somehow he's wants to know about the numbers, but then he wants to know about the demographic. Then he tells us that the demographic doesn't matter, and then the numbers don't matter because of the events that are going on. Ain't that a contradiction like a motherfucker from him?
Yeah,
very much so.
And, even beyond that, like, his whole match rating system is fucking bullshit. Like, why does it fucking matter? Like, why is it that me as a viewer, and I don't call myself a fan, I am a wrestling viewer. I'll watch New Japan. I'll watch TNA, AEW, wherever. If it's good, I'm gonna fucking watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that, why can't I just watch a show, sit back with my popcorn, with my beverage, and just enjoy wrestling? Why do I have to think, that was a 5-star, that was a 6-star? What does it matter?
This is
like,
literally
are those 5 stars, those 6 stars? Is that putting money in your fucking bank?
Well, this is
does it continue? Does it continue a storyline? Does it start a storyline? Does it end a storyline? All we want to know as fans is just to enjoy what is in front of us. If the story is making sense to us, we will continue to watch. If it's a continuation of a story on the next episode, guess what? We'll still continue to watch because we're fans. We get invested into this stuff.
This is literally
Dave doesn't understand that. Dave understands it, but I don't think he understands it.
Well, this is literally why I hate the indies, guys, is because a lot of the independent stars coming up nowadays, a lot of them base their performances and how they are because of Dave Meltzer's star ratings, which I hate. They're the smart ones that just do it because for presentation and character and everything that goes into being a pro wrestler. But then you got the idiots that want to do it for Dave Meltzer and the fucking 5-star rating, which doesn't matter. And I think a lot of people see him in this light like this great Buddha, so to speak, of wisdom and knowledge. And I mean, I'll quote Billy Corgan when he was on the Kurt Angle's podcast, and he was talking about how like they mean nothing. And his view on wrestling, it's like, you know what, I don't get it, because a lot of the people that Dave Meltzer is invested in don't draw money, which Billy Corgan is accurately correct on, because a lot of what Dave Meltzer likes and his ideology about wrestling does not draw money. He's more about the matches and that, when everything that's more the story driven and everything that gets to get.
Let's look at it this way. Biggest star currently in professional wrestling, I don't care what AEW fans say, is Roman Reigns.
Correct.
And how many 5-star matches has he had? Couple, maybe?
Couple, not a lot.
But yet he's making a couple million.
Yep.
Personally, I would rather be making a couple million providing for my family and being able to have the life I want and buy the shit that I want. I don't care about, having 5 or 6 stars. It's money. Jericho, guarantee you, he cares more about money. Having good matches, yeah, that's great. That's not saying it isn't. But at the end of the day, why anybody does anything is for the money. To quote Vince McMahon,
oh boy,
it's all about the money.
It reminds me of Kevin Nash. For those that saw, they were talking about Will Ospreay having this many 5-star matches, and Kevin Nash underwrote, how's his merch sales? Correct. I mean, people can say what they want about Kevin Nash, but that's correct. How's his merchandise sales? So
I would just like to add that Kevin Nash just tore both his quads.
Oh God!
Oh God!
Still one of the funniest things, the 10-man tag, folks. And then we get to friggin' he goes to hit Bubba Ray, and then, oh God! Just
just steps over him
and falls right on his ass.
And let's not forget Shane McMahon tearing both his quads.
Leapfrog and then I'm down. Yep, exactly. Well,
and then he's just laying there, there on the ground, and Snoop Dogg's like, "Man, what the hell's wrong with him?
What the hell's wrong with you?" And then he's like,
"Oh shit!" And we get the most awkward people's elbow. But you know what? Snoop could do freaking anything, and I think it was fucking great.
I just want Snoop on commentary like he was during the match with freaking with the Street Profits. I mean that damn tables match. That's all I want him out there for.
You know
that shit was he out there on Grandmama's table. He out there ruining my Grandmama's table.
And
what the hell's going on out here?
Hear me out. I need it for one show, a commentary team of CM Punk and Snoop Dogg.
Oh wow! Okay,
can't tell me that wouldn't be great.
Give me that.
I don't care what the matches are. You could have Barry Horowitz versus Gilbert all night. As long as those two are on commentary, I don't care. I want it.
I'm here for it, dude. I'm so here for it. And what people were not here for because it was a fake. And Dave, you dumbass. So WrestleVotes fan, literally look at that in the corner there of that Twitter handle. WWE has just announced that next year's Backlash will be hosted by Japan in the Tokyo Dome via Fightful, and it's not true. And Dave Meltzer, 2025 Backlash will be at the Tokyo Dome, and then the Backlash tweet was apparently a fake. Dave, the Kurt Angle chip says it all. Dave, you dumbass.
Sean Ross Sapp had a clap back too. That was funny though.
Oh boy.
He said it's definitely not going to happen. So,
well, couple things there. One, New Japan won't let that happen.
Right.
B, but now that got out there, is WWE and Triple H, are they going to take a second look then and think, well, maybe, is it going to maybe put the thought in their head of maybe they should look into it? Not saying this year, not saying it's Backlash, but I mean, the last show we got was it Beast in the East?
Yes, yeah. 2015, yep.
But seriously, like, I honestly wonder, because you know that you have a whole media team. Maybe this is going to get them talking, maybe thinking that, I don't know.
I mean,
yeah, because there are other venues out there where I'm pretty sure that they can do somewhere anywhere in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they did a Raw in Japan in 05, like early 05.
Yeah.
It's doable, but I mean, could the Tokyo Dome work? Yeah, I mean, easily they could do it. I don't think New Japan will let that happen.
But no,
I don't know. Are you going to wake up at 3 a.m. to watch it?
Yeah, man.
That's good because I'm going to be up at midnight watching it.
I feel you, but yeah, no, they've done Raw. Okay, so the last time they were in Raw, which was February 05, the arena that they did it at was the Saitama Super Arena in Japan, which the seating capacity is 37,000 people.
I mean, New Japan does events there all the time.
Yeah, so why not?
How many? Oh, wait, how many does the Tokyo Dome have?
I will take a look and let you know how the capacity is of the Tokyo Dome.
And the interesting thing about the Tokyo Dome is that if you look at how they set up the event of it's very wide open. It's a very wide open floor. So it's like, you know how you have the stage, you have the setting of the stage, and then you have a lot of open spaces in between rows or in between sections on the floor. Yeah, you have a lot of seats up in the stands, but if you look at the floor, anytime they do an event there, they're very spread open. So it's like you have the hard camera view, and I mean you could fit like 2 semis in between each section. Literally, is how much space that they don't use. So I mean, I could see them filling up the spaces in there
easily.
So as I'm looking, the events, the capacity for the Tokyo Dome ranges from 42,000 to 55,000 capacity.
Oh, they could easily do that.
Easily can do that. I mean,
they can ruin that 36. Is that what you said? 36,000
to 55,000. Yep.
Yeah, they can crush that one out big time.
So I mean, it's very doable. I mean, we're going to get the UK coming as well. We're doing a lot in Saudi Arabia, but for me, whatever that they do, yes, I said do.
He said do.
I think So I think it's going to be really good to see what comes forward with that in the future. I mean, Japan is Japan, and what such a great wrestling market. And I mean, speaking of wrestling markets, this will be the last one for AEW before we get towards the end of the show. John Moxley did an interview, so we're going to hear from John. And here's his excerpt from this interview. This is from Youngstown Studio, and John Moxley said, and I quote, AEW is still basically a toddler. It's wide open to mold it into whatever we want. There are no rules. We have a whole person to grow into. AEW is wide open and still a piece of clay. I'm not concerned about what AEW is right now. I'm concerned about what it could be 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 20 years from now. That is the exciting to me. John, it's still going to be the same goddamn thing because Tony Khan's not going to leave the booking. He's still going to be doing it for the sickos, and he's going to be having a jizz fest 10, 20 years now to the fact that he owns a wrestling company. It ain't fucking changing.
You know, I will say but I do think Mox is right. I think he's 100% right. You know, is the potential there? Absolutely. Yes. But potential can be both good and bad. Now, it could go either way. You know, I think if you have people like Bryan Danielson, who's, done basically, if you have people like Mox and Danielson trying to kind of rein Tony in from some of his more wild ideas, maybe, I think there's things that they could do. Some of the stuff they do works. It's the potential is there.
Agreed, but I concur with you. I mean, you want to see any company thrive, but to me, like Absolutely. I said, it's all about, again, Tony Khan not being Tony Khan, but I think that's the unofficial thing of just the fact that it's going to be the way it is, and it's unfortunate, but I think depends on who comes in, the storylines. If he could get a grasp on some of the basic skills and the basic minimum of what we need to continue to grow this company, like we've mentioned what we need time and time again, that's what we need. And Paul, I'll ask you, what are your thoughts on John Moxley's comments about AEW still being a toddler?
Again, I think I've reiterated this
every week.
If ain't nobody looking at AEW and saying, we want you to fail.
No.
We want them to succeed, but at the same time, we don't want Tony Khan to turn into Vince McMahon.
And he is.
And that's exactly what he's doing. He has to stop doing a lot of quote unquote Vince McMahon things, because at this point, and he's been at that point for nearly 2 years. And I see that he's making changes, yes. And I'm not expecting it to happen overnight or within a week or within a month, but I'm hoping by the time we get to year 10 that we are not talking about the worst parts of how awful AEW is. I am hoping in another 5 years, we look at that 10th anniversary of them coming into existence, that we're like, oh my God, they finally flipped the switch and things are actually going good. I don't want them to look at WWE as a competitor. I want them to look at themselves and be like, we are just going to do what we're going to do, but change things so it works for us. Change things so people are finally coming in to look at us and be like, we want to watch that. We want to watch them do work. We want to tune in every week to see what is going to happen next. Instead of us just like we do, instead of us just giving them our criticism and be like, they're not doing enough of this, they're not doing enough of that. Is it going to be perfect? No. Are we looking for perfection? No. We just want consistency, much like we wanted from WWE for so many years under Vince McMahon. Correct. We just wanted it to be a consistent product to where we could say, okay, this week was good. Okay, this one was kind of okay. Then come back to be good. But we need consistency from storylines. We need stuff to make sense for fans. And we need them to do the one ideal thing that comes in that word as a promoter, is to promote your company.
Correct. But my thing
Okay,
too,
I'm done for today.
no, you're fine. I will actually move on to your point because I'm so glad that you mentioned that. It reminds me each and every time of the fact that we say this all the time. We mentioned this, and Dan, you could concur with this on this because I want to include you in on this conversation because Paul and I mentioned this before you came on to this 3 team that we are, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to include you in this, Dan, because we always talk about how we hated WWE in 2019. Like the booking of 2019 WWE was dog shit. Like the only thing I used to be really into was Bray Wyatt, God rest his soul, the Fiend, because it was different. And I mean, the feuds back in the day of Roman and the dog food, Seth Rollins and Becky against Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans, which we'll get to Baron Corbin in a little bit. There was so many bad storylines that happened during that time. Shane McMahon and Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins, list goes on and on. But the point is, if we can crap about WWE back in 2019,
Undertaker versus Goldberg,
that too. We could crap on AEW in 2024 because a lot of their booking stylings is a lot of what we saw in 2018, 2019 WWE. So, I mean,
suffering succotash.
Yes, we're getting to that point. But
we could write a freaking book, people.
We could.
We could sit here and recap 2019, actually late 2018 into 2019 and on to 2020, probably verbatim if we really sat here. And we'd probably be here for about 4 hours still listing off a bunch of dumbass shit that Vince McMahon did.
Well, it's like,
and that's just, and that would probably be, that 4 hours would probably be the first fucking 3 months of the year.
Exactly. And I mean, look at what Tony's doing. I'll do a Vince thing right now. And I mean, I know we'll talk about AEW in a bit, but I'll include this. Having Chris Jericho face Mark Briscoe in a ladder war. And now this week we're going to get the Patriarchy against Learning Tree in a fucking fight without honor match. We go from a ladder war to a fight without honor match. Are you fucking kidding me? That's a Vince thing. Stop fucking booking Chris Jericho for us. Nobody wants to see Chris Jericho. I'm tired of Chris Jericho. And the fact that we go from a freaking ladder war to a fight without honor, that is fucking OCD.
Fight without honor was only ever done in like the most extreme like blood feuds.
Yes, this is not a blood feud.
It's like a Texas death match. Why do we need one every fucking full year? Why is it that we need one at least twice a fucking year? Do you know how often World Class Championship Wrestling did a death match? It was like once, maybe every 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten like 3 in about a year's time, just over the course of 2023 to 2024. We've gotten 3 of them in AEW.
Let's not, because we do have to count the Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match. Remember that?
Well, I mean, Collision this week, we just had the Day of the Dead match between Thunder Rosa and Harley Cameron.
Which was great. And I fucking loved it. Oh my God. That was a fucking good ass match.
It was entertaining. I loved it.
It was entertaining. I love fucking Harley Cameron.
She's great.
God. No, forget that she's gorgeous.
Oh my God.
Let's forget that part.
God damn you, Zion Quinn.
Let's just go to this part, that the fact that she is working the character that she has.
Yes.
And that she's developing it so fucking well. And the fact, kudos to Thunder Rosa for doing what she did. I mean, and I'm sorry, go back and watch that match. It was fucking cool and very, very funny and very entertaining, like y'all said.
That's what I'm saying. That's fine. But the fact that we had, like Daniel mentioned, the god-awful Texas Chainsaw Massacre dog shit. But it's like, I've used this example many a times. It's like when Hangman Page took on Lance Archer, Lance Hoyt, Lance, whatever his name is, you want to call him, everybody dies. And like we had a few weeks of build, and then we got the Texas. Timu Drew. And then we got the Texas.
Yeah, Timu Drew.
And then we had to do a Texas death match for the title after 4 weeks. And it's like, huh? Oh, but speaking of because we did mention Adam Hangman Page. Before we get to Vince, I know y'all been seeing that on my screen, but I totally forgot about this and the bullshit that this whole thing is. And we're gonna talk about the fact of this dumbass of what he had to say about freaking AEW and their bullshittery. So let's pull this bad boy up because we were talking about Hangman. We're gonna mention Hangman. Oh boy, here we go. So Air Gold is known for being an AEW mark, an AEW fanboy. And his tweet was, Austin and Brett is an excellent match, but I think Hangman has had several that have surpassed that. You can fuck right off right now. Yeah, he tweeted that.
At what
No.
point in time? At what point in time do you say, take your foot out of your fucking mouth and stop doing dumb shit like this? This is the reason why the Undertaker tells people to stay off of fucking Twitter.
All right, we'll go to that next. Just because. All right. So the Undertaker on his podcast with Omos, which I will say I've listened to some of it. Good listen. I like Mr. Omos. Omos is a very talented son of a gun. So the Undertaker speaks on some people in wrestling not taking criticism well. You need to get off Twitter and figure out why you're not drawing.
I have my humble opinion how things should be done, but obviously it doesn't have to be done that way to be successful.
Fair enough.
But everybody's entitled to their opinion. I think that's the big thing, especially with wrestling people and wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is like, it is like, if I criticized you about something publicly,
Yep.
it's a personal attack. That's the way people perceive it in the rest. It's not a personal attack. This is like, I'm giving you my opinion on how I would have done it, or how, the way I did it doesn't necessarily make it right. It was right for me.
Yep.
But wrestling, and I think, I don't know, man, just in general, everything, if you criticize something or you say something, like, maybe soft was not the best. Maybe that wasn't the right choice of words. I mean, I was just then starting to talk and come out of my shell.
Yeah, been media trained. Yeah, he was still like coming out of the cloak.
Yeah, I didn't really think about the reach that Joe Rogan's podcast had. Who's gonna watch that? But everybody, nobody watches. Nobody's gonna watch this.
Up and coming radio show.
What killed me though was all the passive aggressive tweets that I got from wrestlers. Like, I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man! You need to get off this. You need to get off of Twitter and figure out why you're not drawing anything. But
see, there we go again.
I can't help myself. I can't help myself. Damn it. Okay. I love you guys, but no. But when I offer. When I offer critiques, a critique, that's that people like, well, he needs to, blah, 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 blah. It's just my opinion, and I'm trying to help. I'm not trying to dog somebody, and it's not a personal attack on somebody.
I mean, but you don't get it as bad.
He is absolutely 1,000% correct. He is absolutely correct.
DC, I throw this one to you first.
All right.
I hate that I agree with him so much on this, but it's like he's right. Like, if you don't agree with him, and it's not just necessarily wrestling, it's more even also with life. Like, if somebody posts something and you don't agree with it, you don't have to reply, people. You don't.
You can just scroll past through it.
You have this thing that you can do on your phones. Like, you can just scroll up. Just scroll. You don't have to reply. You don't have to be. I don't agree with you. You don't know what to talk. What does it matter?
Again, it's like when we talked about RJ City being the dumbass that he is.
You mean like this?
That.
Oh, is that all we have to do? Oh my God. It's so simple.
I'm like, it's. Do I agree with everything every critique Taker has made? No. But here's the thing, and it's the same thing with TV. If you don't like what you're watching, what's on the channel, change it. Don't pay attention.
Yeah, it's like we mentioned with RJ City's dumbass and what he said, and it's like, who the fuck is RJ City, number one? And number two, you have a lot of young guys that would look past what the Undertaker has to say. It's like if Randy Orton, if you're a young guy and you don't listen to Randy Orton, like, why wouldn't you? I mean, Randy Orton's only been in the business for 20 plus years. To listen to a Cena or listen to those that come before you. It's that thing of like, but they don't understand modern wrestling. And I'm like, well, you don't understand how to draw money. to put in the bluntest of terms, because they don't, because they just want to wrestle, and everything
And get
goes
5-star matches.
I do 5-star matches. It comes back to that. So the Undertaker saying that, I agree with him, because not only is he a 30, 40 plus year veteran, and not because Paul, has the dead man in his handle, and because he is the biggest RWT, not RWT dead man, but the official president of the Undertaker fan club. He just has that aura about him that got him over for years with his character, his mystique, being able to evolve that character, change that character to being the American badass. So, I mean,
sorry to cut you off, Mike, but I got to just get, how many people have Undertaker on their Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
doggone everybody practically.
even people like Ric Flair will say Undertaker is one of the greatest of all time.
But yeah, that's what got him back into really passionate about wrestling him at WrestleMania 18. Yeah.
You have Undertaker who, Mark Calloway and the Undertaker, separate guys.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get to a certain level in the business where you transcend, where you are at, I'll be honest, I call it God mode. You are at God level. Roman is now at that level. Cena is at that level. I'm talking Hogan, Cena, Flair, Rock, Foley, I would even have on that level. You have people that are on that upper echelon. Figure out how they got there and thinking like, okay, they got there by doing this. How do I get to that level? Because if I get to that level, I know I'm going to get paid. You have people in AEW that are at that. Kenny Omega is at that level. How many people in that company are at that level? Mox is at that level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. It goes Jericho, Moxley, Kenny Omega. That's it. In that company, that's it.
I mean, we're talking
Mercedes could say all she wants, but she ain't at that level.
Nope.
She is not the draw that she supposedly thinks that she is. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to this.
Okay.
Mark Calloway gave his opinion.
Yes, he did.
That wasn't the Undertaker.
He's
only the Undertaker by a character. Right now, we get the most mellowed down version of what supposedly is the Undertaker that we see. This is literally Mark Calloway giving his opinion on the wrestling business. That's where people need to that's one thing people need to identify first, is that this is a 30 plus year vet. Not just somebody who's just trying to make a name for himself or is just trying to be relevant. This is a guy who spent 30 plus years in not just one company, but I mean, in a couple of companies over his time.
Mm-hmm.
He is the OG Paul Heyman guy.
Yeah, WCW, WCCW, like Taker's been around the block.
I'm telling you that this guy, I mean, I didn't ask for this name. I was given this name. Thank you, Amir. I love you.
Love you, Amir.
Answer my damn messages.
We acknowledge you.
Answer my damn messages.
Amir, answer the man's messages.
Come on, Amir.
Okay, so anyways,
give him what he wants.
Give him what he wants.
Give me what I want.
Give me what I want.
Yeah. My point is that it doesn't matter whether it's Bully Ray on Busted Open with such a wide open platform for as many people that listen to their show every week, who gives his critiques about AEW, who has offered his services to AEW, who's gone out and on a limb, him, Dave LaGreca, Tommy Dreamer, Mark Henry, Thunder Rosa, Nick Nemeth, everybody who's been on that show, who has been a part of that show, Denise Salcedo, has all given their opinions of what they think people should do. So are we just going to sit there and look at somebody who's, I mean, I'll literally say 40 years in the damn business. And are you really going to sit back and say, oh, well, he doesn't know nothing. Why should I have to listen to him? Because he's been on top of a company for 30 fucking years. That's why you should. A man who started off as supposedly dead, reinvented himself, and still went back to that dead character and made it fucking work. That's why you should listen to him.
It's very
a guy who became synonymous with WrestleMania and having one of the greatest winning streaks of all time. Nobody's ever going to do that again. No one's ever going to even come close.
Nope.
It's very reminiscent for me of, and I'll equate this. It's like when Ric Flair was talking to Konosuke Takeshita about his chops, right? And he gave him like a critique about his chops. And all the AEW fans were like, don't listen to him. You do what you want to do, Takeshita. Yes, why would you listen to Ric Flair, who, you know, is the innovator of chops? And what we like, why would we listen to Ric Flair? Another perfect example is when Vikingo got injured in AAA, not this time with Impact, and Rey Mysterio was giving him advice. And Rey Mysterio, when you think of Lucha Libre and you think of that style of wrestling, you think of one of the Godfathers, Rey Mysterio, the Mysterio name. Everybody's like, oh, well, what does Rey Mysterio know? I don't know. Rey Mysterio's only been in the business for fucking 30 years. Like, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
We got like the older generation. Yeah. Is it very different from the way when they came into wrestling? Of course it is. Did they evolve it? Of course they did.
Yep.
Mark has criticized like this new generation to say that
they're soft.
Oh, they're more into video games. They're more into they're not into the business. I mean, he's critiqued on I believe the last episode he had of his show, the guest that he had was talking about how it pisses him off that when guys do their finishes or their finishers that people kick out of them, and he's just like, oh my God, why do guys do that? Like, it's supposed to be your finisher. Why is it that guys kick out of that? Because it makes for the theatrics of the match. It makes them believe that, it would be completely different had they put their foot on the rope and not so much kicked out. That would be completely different.
Right. And I mean, everything nowadays, the DDT is a transitional move. The super kick is a transitional move. We have so many moves now that were once finishers, one and done, that are now transitional moves. We've come to that age and that time of professional wrestling.
I think it's nowadays. I mean, we all grew up in a time when, we didn't have all the razzle dazzle, the flash, it's to the point where a DDT, depending on who did it, it could look like, look at Raven. Look at his DDT.
Yep, Raven effect, even flow. Yep.
Look at Jake Roberts. Like, when Jake would drop people with the DDT, boom, done. You think, okay, that he's done. I think it's not necessarily the move, it's also the person doing it.
Well, look at Jerry Lawler when years it was the pile driver and it was done. But when he got to WWE, when he hit you with the fist drop off the metal rope, you knew it was done. When he pulled down the straps and hit the fist drop, you knew it was over.
And look at the 3D by the Dudley Boys. They always said nobody ever kicked out of it. Why? Because that was literally their ending move.
And the only
team offered that to Undertaker, and Undertaker, he said,
and he didn't want to do it.
Yeah. And like the only team that kicked out of it was the Motor City Machine Guns. And when they did it in TNA, it was special.
Exactly.
And you have the sleeper hold, which one of the most vanilla holds out there. But when Gunter locks it in, like, that's why when, to transition briefly to Cody versus Gunter, when he did the flip over, that's huge.
Oh yeah.
But that's also good when he wraps his legs around them and he has them in that hold. That's different because that's almost like he's constricting them from not like going anywhere. Yeah. And that makes them that makes it more more dramatic in that sense that it's a strong hold onto somebody, so you're not going anywhere.
So
you had last point. You had Jericho get a Boston Crab over.
Well, it's a Jericho Lion Tamer. Yep.
I mean, it's make yourself a character and your finisher will come. And like kicking out of the finisher should be done rarely. It should be done so seldomly so that when it happens, it's huge. So that way you don't need to hit your finisher 3, 4, 5 times. Like WrestleMania 40, Cody versus Roman. When you had Cody hit Roman with the Crossroads 3 in a row.
That's it.
It was so he knew I got to do whatever I got to do to take him out.
It's like, look at Randy Savage and Ultimate Warrior from WrestleMania 8. He hit all those elbow drops, but the Warrior, 8, excuse me, thank you, that he knew that the Ultimate Warrior to try to keep him down, he didn't. And then Ultimate Warrior, he knew the amplified and the overall altitude of what he needed to do and the multitude of elbow drops that he had to do to finish the match. I'll equate it to Jeff Hardy. Like, when you know that Jeff Hardy did the Swanton Bomb, it was over, it's done, kaput, especially now with how he puts his weight into everything that he does with that Swanton, and it looks devastating. But, I mean, when you have that, again, it's all about protecting your finishers. But like I said, all three of us have grown up in the day and age of just one-and-dones and just the finisher meaning something. But now you know what it is. It's 1-2 kick out, 1-2 kick out. So, I mean, that literally is where we're at and where we are at. And we'll transition to Crown Jewel in a minute because Daniel Crimmins brought up Cody and Gunther, and then I'll play the video. But something else that happened, we're going to talk about Vinnie Mac really briefly here because this came out. Vince McMahon's currently working on setting up a post-WWE company. McMahon has been in the process of setting up what has been described as a new entertainment hub company that would financially back, develop, and produce film and television productions. The belief among those spoken to is that there are no plans for this company to launch anything similar to WWE, and they would instead focus on fiction and non-fiction projects. WWE alumni are already working with McMahon to get the company prepped with the idea of officially unveiling it if/once his legal issues are resolved. And this is via PW Insider. And I say to that, good luck with that. good luck with that.
You know, maybe he can air his stuff on Newsmax.
Ooh.
Wow.
Wow. You went there. Ow. Oh man,
maybe he can get Glenn Jacobs to star in everything.
Fucking A, man.
You hear See No Evil 3. You heard it here first, folks.
Oh yeah.
Because that sequel was absolute dog shit.
I have not even seen that one. I've seen the first two.
First one, badass. I love the first See No Evil. Second one was
dog shit.
Oh yeah.
Jason X was better than See No Evil 2.
Wow, he went there.
And I mean, what we had with that one where he's going with the girl and whatnot. Like the first one, you can understand where they're at that friggin' building and whatnot. He's going after everybody. And like, not to spoil it, but that first one from 2006, my goodness. But then when you move on forward with it, it's like, it makes no damn sense. It literally makes no damn sense. Don't even go see the
Leprechaun 6 was better than that.
I'd rather watch Leprechaun Origins with Hornswoggle than fucking watch See No Evil 2. I'd rather watch fucking.
I'd rather watch Paint Dry than watch See No Evil 2.
It was that bad, folks. It was really, really that bad.
That bad.
But what was not bad was WWE Crown Jewel. And we'll start with Cody and Gunther first. Like we mentioned, the pin, very reminiscent to Bret Hart and Roddy Piper from WrestleMania. Gunther finally catches him after the Cody cutter, and then Cody rolls back 1, 2, 3. He's the Crown Jewel champion. And we're going to play the video from Busted Open of their thoughts about Cody and Gunther, and then we'll get into the pay-per-view itself, ladies and germs. So here we go.
It's a mistake that Cody Rhodes won because he's Cody Rhodes. And so anytime you want to hand in the ball, that's, you can't go wrong. He's Cody Rhodes. He's over like Rover. He's your top babyface. He's your guy. I'm not going to say it was a mistake, but I will say it was a missed opportunity for what you could have done for Gunther to get a one-on-one pinfall or submission victory over Cody freaking Rhodes in a main event on a PLE, winning, yes, a residency title, but still winning something nonetheless.
It doesn't hurt either one of the guys. It doesn't. But I think it tells you where the pecking order is. And I think that we knew that before the match, that Cody Rhodes is the guy in this company. Should he have won that Crown Jewel championship? It's just a once-a-year thing. To me, Gunther winning the championship has a little bit more to it because Gunther needs that. Gunther's already second banana with that world championship. So imagine if he was the crown jewel champion. He comes out there on Raw and he's smiling. He's like, I got one over on Cody. And he can continue, he can make that a story. It doesn't have to be a continuing story, but it's the seed in people's heads that Gunther's so strong he beat Cody Rhodes. He beat the Universal Champion.
I'm not gonna say it's a mistake.
So here's my thing on it, and I will comment on that. Cody and Gunther, you add the element of he's eliminated him from the Royal Rumble twice, and you saw Gunther's face after it, like, damn it, I made a mistake. This is the one haunting thing of his career that he cannot beat, that thorn in his side that is Cody Rhodes, and you continue that for down the line, whether it be a Royal Rumble or another singles match, whatever they do. That is the story right there. I'm fine with how Cody Rhodes won, how he just got by the skin of his teeth, so to speak. So I really look at it as something as more of a kind of like, we're going to go back to this later on down the line. The match was great in itself, and I think it was a hell of a main event, but I think it was correct with the winner who won. Daniel, I'll let you chime in first, and then we'll go with Paul.
I think it worked overall. It did. Now, if you look at Cody did he hit Gunnar with everything, literally everything under the sun. Still didn't work. He had to, Gunnar locks in the finisher, and what does Cody do? Does a flip back out of desperation. And you have the storyline that Gunther beat himself.
All right.
It works. Both men still look strong.
I concur. I really do enjoy, like I mentioned, what we're doing in the storytelling process of where we can come back to this down the line. And I think the babyface winning the Crown Jewel Championship and getting that big-ass ring that both him and Liv Morgan, those championships that they got, and the vault and them staying in Saudi Arabia. But
they were replicas, by the way.
Okay. All right.
At least Liv was.
All right. Fair enough.
If you watch it back, when they hand it to her and you see the back of it, you see the little property of WWE sticker that they put on the back of the replicas. So I've got to think, if I'm WWE and I want to make money, I'm making replicas of these things. And I'm charging $500-$600. And here's the thing, people will pay.
This is why you are the belt.
People in Saudi Arabia, I mean, they're going to pay for it.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, the royal family will.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to King and Queen of the Ring.
Right.
Gunther won. Gunther got his moment in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So did Nia Jax. My only issue is, as much as I don't care for these events, I really don't, because they're like glorified house shows that are paid for by Saudi Arabia, by a prince or whatever the hell he is. My issue is like you exactly what they were talking about in the video is Gunther could have had his moment. He could have had that one up after 2 fails from against Cody Rhodes, and it be something and it have some meaning. But at the same time, I also see the opposite side, that it doesn't hurt either one of them, because the event doesn't mean nothing but other than a title for the country.
Yes.
So it's just, again, back to a glorified house show for a title that means nothing to anybody but the country. I still would have liked to have seen Gunther go over, even if it was maybe by a disqualification. And I know a lot of people don't like DQ finishes in matches, but I still think that's something for him to look forward to, something for him to kind of say, yeah, I got one up on him. But yeah, that was after two failures, after these 2 things that happened. Now you got 3 failures against the other champion. I would just, in my personal opinion, I would have liked to have had seen Gunther go over, but I think back to it being a glorified house show, it is what it is.
the way I look at it too is, and I've said this on with Nico and Rob, and I'll say it to you too, my dear friends. It reminds me of like when we used to get like DX and the Brothers of Destruction, like Daniel mentioned earlier, Undertaker and Goldberg. When we got friggin' Shane McMahon and Roman Reigns, the matches that we used to get the events to where we are now, I think is a definite upgrade. And like they mentioned with the women, like at first it was Natalia and Lacey Evans, and now we have multiple women on this show, which I think is wonderful. We're making some progress and change there. But I still hate the fact, number one, that they go over there. And number two, much like Paul said, these shows don't feel like they're special. It's just like, okay, let's do this for the Saudis, get in, get out, clear our heads, so to speak. And then you had your girl, which I know Paul was upset, that Nia lost to Liv Morgan after that damn Tiffany Stratton was talking about cashing in. And then Raquel hit her with the boot. Dominic with the distraction. Oblivion, 1, 2, 3. Liv Morgan got the dub. That girl Nia lost because damn it, Tiffany Stratton, what the hell you doing? The match was fine. Like they tried. Out of every match on this card, this was probably the one I was kind of like very meh with. And I mean, we'll talk about it. This close. Solo hits the first Samoan spike, 1, 2, and Jimmy was a tad bit late to bring up that pin, boy. Like that should have been a 3. That was the one little botcheroonie there. But I got to say, I loved Roman and the Usos against the New Bloodline. It told the story of, okay, we need to be on the same page. And then they weren't on the same page. Solo pins Roman. Sammy comes out, accidentally kicks Roman. That starts, okay, what's going down with the Bloodline? They lead towards War Games with that. I thought that was perfectly done. Like you mentioned, people don't like DQ finishes. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, the fact that the match didn't even start and they're going Buck Wild, Randy Orton, RKO's Adam Pearce. They're fighting in the crowd, the elbow off the friggin' barricade. I enjoyed. I thought everything on this show, the women worked their butts off with Bianca and Jade beating Metaphor and Chelsea Green and Piper Niven and doggone the Damage Control. The matches were very good. I thought it was a good show. So I'll start with you, Dan, on this. What were your thoughts on the overall presentation and the angles that we got?
If you remember a couple months back, and Randy Orton got fined by all this,
yes,
and 50,000, and he all this says to me said, the fine was for 50. This is 100, and Orton just says, the other 50 is for next time,
and this was the next time. I like that little subtlety.
You know, it raises the stakes for the eventual next outing, Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. Like, give me feuds that last longer than 1 PLE, 2 PLEs. Like, we haven't had that in a good while. Like, we used to have Cena versus Orton, Cena versus Edge, you know, Undertaker versus Edge. Like, give me a good blood feud.
I mean, technically, we also had another one, Seth and Bronson Reed. Like, Bronson Reed looked like a motherfucking monster. That was one of the best doggone matches on that show. And then the ending where he just gets up and Seth is looking at him like, what the fuck do I got to do to keep you down? The busted. Dude, that curb stomp onto the step where he got his eye busted open. Oh, my goodness. Like, that was probably the best one for me on that show was Seth and Bronson Reed. That was so good.
For me, it's the criticism that WWE is getting for Solo going over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my question to you guys, and I'm going to pose this question because it's a pretty simple one.
Yes.
At what point in time are we supposed to take Solo seriously? With everything that is going on, with him creating his own bloodline, at what point in time are we as fans supposed to take him seriously? I go back to Roman Reigns when he first started this whole journey from 2020, and he was trying to become the tribal chief. Yes, we know he was already an established wrestler. Yes, we know he was transitioning from the character that he was before into this new version of himself. Kind of like Brock Lesnar, the whole eat, sleep, conquer, repeat. In that aspect. If Solo doesn't get any wins, how are we as fans supposed to look at him as a certified threat to anything in WWE?
And if he would have lost that crown jewel, he would have just looked like a J-Bro. And when you're calling yourself the real tribal chief, and then, I mean, he's been losing nonstop. He lost to Roman at the last one. So losing to
bad
Roman,
blood.
yeah. So if he were to get pinned by Roman again, it made no doggone sense. You have to get the one-upsmanship on
But
Roman.
that's why I'm asking you guys, like, at what point in time are we supposed to take him seriously? If you get so much criticism, yeah, is it going to be perfect? No. I mean, but is it progressing his character? Yes, it is. But I just want to know, in your opinion, at what point in time, how are we supposed to take him seriously if he's not getting wins?
Well, this was that
Exactly. And one of the criticisms that I read was, well, I don't mind that he lost, that Solo got the win, but did it have to be on Roman?
Yes.
Yes, it did. Think about it. In the past, like 3-4 years since Roman became the tribal chief, how many people have pinned him? 3.
Yep.
Jey Uso.
Baron Corbin.
Well, that was his last one.
Oh, before. I'm sorry. Yeah, with the
So I'm saying Jey,
Yep.
Cody, and now Solo.
True. Yeah. Okay. With the
It
tribal
works, and it furthers the storyline of Solo being able to say, "Well, I beat you."
Yeah.
And now they've each beaten each other. And guess what? Here's another thing, folks. It wasn't a clean win.
Yep.
It's not like he beat Solo, or that Solo beat Roman, clean square in the middle of the ring. No. It took Jacob Fatu. So did it further that? Further the whole Solo versus Roman? Yes. But what do we also think we're getting at some point? We're going to get Jacob Fatu versus Solo.
Mm-hmm.
When they let Jacob Fatu off the leash and they let him go, that guy is special.
I mean, if you get a Roman Jacob Fatu, Solo Jacob Fatu, and like you mentioned, Solo's pinned Cody, he's pinned Roman, he's pinned a lot of the people that we're talking about. I mean, he even built him up when he beat John Cena back at the last Saudi show. I mean, you have a lot of things that really go into the Solo character for a guy who debuted on the roster 2 years ago to where we are now. And I mean, he's so damn good with how funny he can be and entertaining. People don't really got to stop sleeping on Solo. I look at it from a stance too as well. You really invested more into the story for when not only just we get the War Games match, but when Paul Heyman comes back. War Games, and we get Paul Heyman back, and he brings them all back together. That's going to be something special to get that appearance. There's many different layers of how we're getting to Survivor Series that people just really need to sit back and enjoy and watch as it unfolds.
And all fans have to do is just sit back and, is it going to take a minute for him to get, in that place? Is he going to get to Roman Reigns, that upper echelon? No. But you have to make him a viable, credible threat, and have him be in that same category. Was Roman Reigns Roman Reigns was pushed into this?
Uh-huh.
He didn't gradually have that incline, that we expect from a push. No, he was literally pushed right into the forefront of everything, and it was like him, Seth, Dean, or John.
Yes.
Even though he was the lesser of the characters in the group.
Yeah.
So we just have to allow him to continue to progress, to continue to keep getting better. And if we don't, then a lot of fans are just going to be like, oh, well, he's just there. He's just there. He's not the benchmark of, they want him to get up there. In order for him to get there, you have to continually, progress him to get up there.
Right. It's like
work better and have better storylines and continue to keep making him work the way he is.
It's like when people were complaining about the Wyatt Six, like when do they got to finally wrestle and stuff. And I'm like, patience, people. Like when they wrestled the Alpha Academy and they blew it off, that was excellent. Now they're in the feud with the Final Testament and the Miz being involved because they're going after the Miz, which makes sense because he's got the history with Bo Dallas and Dexter Lumis. So I mean, let the pieces fall where they lie, ladies and gentlemen.
Even Bray to that extent.
Yes, Bray and the Miz, yeah. So yeah, let it play out, people. We say this a lot.
Let the meal simmer. It'll get there. And like, besides, if they automatically were just like, okay, Sammy, Jay, Jimmy, Roman, Paul, they're all back together, all in the same show.
No.
When you go to see a movie, do you want to see that happen? No. Look at, I'm equating this whole, Civil War thing, Avengers Endgame.
Yes.
The scene where they all come back together. That's what's happening here.
Yeah, because we're not going to look at all the Marvel movies, and literally just say, okay, well, we're going to start with Endgame, but we'll tell you everything that progressed as everything goes along. Why are you going to want to watch everything else? You already know what the ending is. Why? Exactly. Do I need to know what happened in Iron Man 1? Do I need to know what happened in Iron Man 2? Do I need to know what happened in Iron Man 3? No, because look at what happened at the end game. All right, well, look, we won. Woohoo! Okay, we're done.
It's like, one of my favorites, like when Rocky Balboa comes back in the 6th one, and you have that drama of him wanting to get back in there, but is he too old? Can he still hang? And you put him in there with Mason the Line Dixon and everything that leads up to that epic moment of Rocky coming back. Yeah, he loses by 1 point, but God damn it, Rocky can still go. And you were so happy to see him get back in the ring. So, you have to have those pivotal moments that lead to the triumph. And the ultimate triumph is once we get to War Games with the Bloodline and the new Bloodline. So let it cook, people. And I will say this about Crown Jewel. If you want to go back and check it out, much like these gentlemen said, and I have as well, it's a glorified house show. But watch Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. Watch Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Watch the 6-man. Watch Cody and Gunther. Hell, watch the whole show. Even Paul is upset the fact that our girl Nia, lost to Liv Morgan. Watch everything on the show because it was a very solid show.
I think the only thing, because I think with Nia and Tiffany, we know eventually it's going to lead to Tiffany turning face, and she's the next big thing. I think that's obvious. I think you could have done a finish to where you have Tiffany and, Dominic fighting over the briefcase, and Dom lets it go, and Tiffany actually accidentally nails Nia in the head, and Liv wins that way.
Right.
See, I honestly didn't think that that they were going to pull the trigger on her winning. I honestly didn't think that was going to happen.
Neither did I.
Because I didn't want it to be there. If anything, if it's at Survivor Series, great, cool. Give her a good run. Don't just have her win it and be like, have her win it there and then, not have it any meaning. And it needs to have some sort of meaning in order for them to, if they're going to have this little rivalry between the two and Nia is going to be that competitor with her, cool. I like it. Continue to keep pushing it. But it has to make sense for us as fans in order for it to make. You don't do this Vince McMahon shit just because they're there just to do it.
No. And I think they've built that with Nia and Tiffany's relationship going forward. And when that day comes, the pop that Tiffany Stratton's going to get for cashing in on Nia. So I like how they're telling that. And look at Liv Morgan's next challenger. We got Io Sky. That makes sense before we get to Rhea Ripley finally coming back and taking that title off of her, which I'm sure is going to be the WrestleMania match. So they're building, and I'm here for it.
That's assuming we don't know how bad that fracture is.
Right.
Rhea could be out a couple months.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing. Who do we have waiting in the wings that we haven't seen in almost 2 years?
Ooh, okay. You going with Becky
Lynch?
We
got Alexa Bliss.
Who's Alexa Bliss. Okay, correct. All right. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Okay, Alexa Bliss.
Do we have, Royal Rumble? And honestly, I know Punk's pushing for it. We're pushing for it. Give us AJ Lee.
Yeah, that'd be cool for one night.
He's even said
he's trying to get her back. He said he's been trying to persuade her, and even Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade has actually been, communicating with her, trying to get her to come back. So
Rumble, if you, and I said this to a couple guys, I said, you know what? if you ever want anything that is going to come close to the reaction that Edge got when he came back, imagine the Women's Royal Rumble. It counts down, and you hear AJ Lee's music.
Light it up.
The reaction will be insane. And she doesn't need to win it.
No, but just that appearance in itself alone will get the night and everything turning.
And if she's in the ring with maybe like Roxanne Perez or Cora Jade, and one of them just happens to eliminate her, give me that match. Shit, I'd be happy for it.
Like
at an NXT event, give me that.
Yeah, I mean, even there was talk of Lita against one of them at the 2300 arena. If Lita is going to be there, like I'm fine if Lita gets in there with one of them at an NXT match. I'm cool with that. Like, again, it helps the younger talent get in there. And I love that. That's the synergy. That's what's great about working in the veteranship. Like, this is what we have now, folks. And it's a wonderful time for professional wrestling. But yes, I will skip my ass off if we get AJ Lee. I will come on here and skip like AJ Lee, and I will light that bitch up like her.
I'll strap on my Converse and skip around.
Hell to the yeah. Daniel, would you skip around with us if that does happen?
We don't have to hold hands.
You don't have to hold hands. We can just skip around. We can just skip. We don't have to hold hands. We can just skip.
I will, to quote Roman Reigns, yeet.
Yeet. Yeet. Yeet. So speaking of eat, we will get to our next topic here, and we're actually going to go to the land of the rising sun as Japan. Kenny Omega returned at Power Struggle and had this amazing speech, very emotional. There's talks of him coming back for a Wrestle Dream Dynasty, I believe it is. Not Wrestle Dream, sorry,
Wrestle Kingdom.
Thank you. I got Wrestle Dream, Wrestle Kingdom. Thank you. Wrestle Kingdom Dynasty. Put him in there against, what's the dude's name? Gabe Kidd. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gabe Kidd.
I'm cool with that. Like, whatever. Let's go.
Wrestle something.
Wrestle something.
I think what's going to end up happening is that he's going to get one final match with Tanahashi, with Tanahashi.
Yeah.
I think that'll be on one of the nights that one of the 2 nights that they have, because if Tanahashi's final year and the following Wrestle Kingdom is going to be his final match, I think he may actually want to get one more in with him. Believe me, Gabe Kidd is still young. You know, you don't need to have it right now. I just think that could be something down the line, not too soon. We need Kenny to get cleared first.
Oh yeah, and I'll say, you mentioned Tanahashi. With all the coordination and cooperation that WWE has been doing, Tanahashi has been called the John Cena of New Japan.
Give me John Cena, Tanahashi.
Give me John Cena versus Hiroshi Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom.
I like that. I like that scenario. I mean, I look at it like this. With Tanahashi, I'm cool with him and Omega. I think what's great about what we're getting here with Wrestle Kingdom Dynasty, a lot of high-quality matches. And I mean, for me, we're going to find out who the Young Bucks are going to face. But another match that came out of it, Ricochet returns, and we're going to get him and Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP World's Heavyweight Championship. I'm here for it. Welcome back, Ricochet, to New Japan. Are you guys excited for Ricochet and Zack Sabre Jr.?
Give me it.
I'm here.
Give it to me.
Give me now.
Give it to me now. That I would have been happier with than him and Will Ospreay.
Yes, correct. I agree with you on that.
I'll say it. With Kenny, we all know where this is going to go. Last week on Dynamite, you had the Bucks just say, you know what? This is unsafe. This is chaotic. We're leaving. We're going home. They're going to come back with Kenny Omega to go after Mox's crew. That's where this is going.
I got to say it. All right. That would make no fucking sense because
but it's going to happen. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
So here's where, again, I just shake my head, and Paul knows where I'm going with this. They took out Kenny Omega. The Young Bucks literally took out Tony Khan and put him in the neck brace, and they never fucking followed up on it. So the fact that the Young Bucks are going to come back as baby faces with Kenny Omega, who makes no fucking sense because they took out Kenny Omega to go against Moxley's new crew, makes absolutely no fucking sense.
I go back to the shit that just doesn't make sense in AEW and the shit that Tony does that he didn't follow up on.
that makes no goddamn sense. And I know, you know what I would do? I'd do Kenny Omega in the Continental Classic going against Okada because they want to do Kenny Omega and Okada. I would be fine with that. Take all the belts off the Elite. Take it off Okada. Have Daniel Garcia beat Jungle Boy, and I'm okay with that.
And just as an aside,
again,
you have the Bucks that are leaving, working from home.
Yeah.
But yet they're just leaving Okada by himself.
That's what I'm saying. It makes no sense. That's the end of the new Elite. Okada's by himself. Jack Perry's
Again, shit that doesn't make sense.
Tony Baloney. All right, before we get to the NXT,
I can't
either. Why do you think we get so frustrated and we rant on this every week? Because his product makes no goddamn sense. His product,
good shit.
It's such good shit. Like just it makes no goddamn sense, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I want to put this in there as well. So after Crown Jewel, we did find out that there were some releases. Indy Hartwell and Tegan Nox got released, and Baron Corbin's contract will not be renewed once it expires. So let's talk about the ladies first. So I look at from Tegan Nox's standpoint, this poor girl, injury prone. She has 2 knee braces. She hurt her knees twice. She was in a tag team with Shotzi. Then Shotzi hurt her ACL and is still out, for a while. She should be back soon, hopefully. Tegan Nox, it was just like, okay, she came back. I was excited. Her and, she did some stuff with Becky Lynch. She was in the mix, but it went nowhere. It really didn't, just because, and I like Tegan Nox, and I really do, but her injuries is what really held her back. And it's unfortunate because I think she has such great talent. I remember first seeing her in NXT UK, the Mae Young Classics, such a talented young lady. And I mean, Indy Hartwell, she came in, and she and Candice LeRae is a part of the way. They were the NXT Tag Team Champions during the pandemic era. She had the big angle with Dexter Lumis in the wedding in 2022 NXT during NXT 2.0. And then she finally wins the NXT Women's Championship in the ladder match at Stand and Deliver. Then gets hurt, and then she gets drafted to Raw, and she has to relinquish the NXT Championship. Then she's on Raw. Her and Candice are just in the mix. Then she gets drafted to SmackDown. And the only real big thing that came out of this year was her and Candice challenging the Kabuki Warriors at Elimination Chamber in Perth, Australia, her homeland, for the tag titles. And then she was kind of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I know Candice is now the Speed Champion, but Indy Hartwell, another one, I thought she was called up way too soon after she got hurt when she lost the NXT Women's Championship, had to vacate it, And we'll start with those two, because I'm going to say this right now. I said it in our chat, and I'll say it here live on the show here, folks. Don't go to AEW. For the love of God, do not go to AEW. Go to TNA. Be a part of Indy Hartwell, your girl, Persia Parada, Stephanie DeLander is in TNA. Your former tag team partner, your fellow Australian is there. Go to TNA. Tegan Nox, much like Xia Li went there. Go to TNA. Do not go to AEW.
But I'll pay you.
So we'll start with Paul. Indy and Tegan first. Your thoughts on their releases?
It isn't even about the money. It's about being in a place where you'll be utilized.
Correct.
She goes to AEW, she won't be utilized because she would not be on that level of where they're at now. And they have enough women in that division that they're not even using whatsoever. And putting her there would just be nonsense. Right. If she goes to TNA, that's a division that is lacking in stars. And if Jordan Grace, who just recently dropped the title, who showed up on NXT last week, if she's definitely going to sign with WWE after her contract ends at the end of the year, they could use bodies. Tegan Nox is another one who could also go there and thrive in that division, thrive in that women's division, because they work women. They work them in their pay-per-views month after month after month, in their shows, week after week after week. Their tag team division is the exact same way. They put them out there so they're shown, and I think they have probably one of the best women's divisions that where they'll utilize them better. Between WWE and AEW, they use them better.
I mean, for me to go on Paul's point before I have you chime in here, Dan, like her and Xia Brookside, give me Tegan Knox and Xia Brookside, like that would be fire. And even with the NXT TNA relationship, like who's to say that Indy Hartwell or Tegan Knox can be on an NXT takeover representing TNA? Like
Xia Li can end up over in NXT too.
Like you have that option. Like it's not in a way like if you go to TNA, you're still going to be somehow involved with the WWE, and I think that's awesome. So Dan, your thoughts on Indy and Tegan getting released and them? I want to again. Let's go to TNA.
I will agree. Should they go to TNA? Oh, absolutely. But the pessimist in me says, and just because he can't help himself, Tony Khan's going to sign him.
Well, I'm going to say this to add on to Dan's point. If they do go there, they will be on Ring of Honor. And like much like the Grizzled Young Veterans, they brought them in. They're on fucking Ring of Honor right now. Like, that's where they're going.
Just going to say, because I got to fucking say it.
Yeah.
Your Ring of Honor tag team champions aren't even on TV because one of your tag team champions is not signed to your fucking company.
Dustin Rhodes being a free agent. Yeah.
Dustin Rhodes could theoretically show up on SmackDown on Friday night. Dustin Rhodes could show up on NXT on Wednesday.
Yes.
Will he? Probably not, because he's not like that.
Yeah.
But do I think Dustin's going back to WWE? Absolutely, because there's that new thing, that ID thing,
which we will get into. But yes, so I am going to say this before we get to that. Another one, like we mentioned, Baron Corbin. Dude, that dude, I'm going to say this. That dude was there for what, about 12 years?
Yeah.
He started the developmental. He was a feature focal point on NXT Breaking Ground, where he had an attitude problem. Norman Smiley put him in check. The Lone Wolf character, where he would beat people in seconds in NXT. That character, the entrance, the presentation, him getting called to the main roster way too soon, winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, his gimmicks as the Constable Corbin, being the United States champion, retiring Kurt Angle at WrestleMania, bum-ass Corbin, which was hilarious.
By far, the best of his characters that he has had, bum-ass Baron Corbin was his greatest character in all 12 years. I fell in love with it. I fucking loved it. He was going back there looking scruffy, hair coming out, wearing the same white shirt. Look bummy like a motherfucker. That was my favorite character he had.
Easily.
Like, they tried with Happy Corbin and him and Madcap Moss. Bleh, kind of meh. They put him with JBL, and that went south so fast. Then they put him back in NXT. Besides bum-ass Corbin, I love the War Dogs. Him and Braun Breaker as the powerhouse works so well.
But what worked for him, too, going back to NXT, is that it gave him time on TV. It gave him time to work the character. Hell, he worked with Braun Strowman. Hell, he was challenging for the freaking NXT title.
Yeah, him and Carmelo Hayes had great matches. Him and Braun Breaker had great matches. The only match I could say during that last NXT run that was the shits was the Gable Stevenson match, which was god-awful.
That's not his fault, though.
That's not his fault. That was all Gable Stevenson on that one. But, like, his NXT run was good. Then they called him back up to SmackDown very quickly. Mistake. And they broke up the War Dogs. They put Braun Breaker on Raw, and then he was on SmackDown. And him and Apollo Crews, the tag team of him as a babyface was kind of there. And then, that was the end of Baron Corbin. So I gotta say, even though
I think that would have worked had they actually had a tag team division to kind of continue on.
Well, that was my thing. Like, they kind of broke off him and Apollo so Apollo could do like that 3-week feud with Giovanni Vinci, who we haven't seen since those matches. Like, it was what it was, but I think they were a great tag team. But Baron Corbin, I will say, his WWE career had some ups and downs, like one of the worst Money in the Bank cash-ins ever. Hello, Jinder Mahal back in 2017. He had some ups and downs, but god dang it, he did have a good career. I will say this. He made a ton of money during his tenure in WWE. So let's see.
He's an Instagram star cooking,
Yes.
Good for him.
Yes.
And I love that. And now, you know what? Again, back to another guy who can go to TNA and thrive? Look at Nick Nemeth.
Yep. I could see Baron Corbin and Josh Alexander. Baron
Give
Corbin.
me Baron Corbin and Moose.
Moose, Baron Corbin and Steve Macklin, Baron Corbin and whoever. Give me them. I'm here for it. Now, we will move on to the WWE next in line. Not the next in line, I'm sorry. The WWE, what the hell's it called? ID. Thank you. There's so many. There's next in line. I need too many letters. So here's what Mark Henry had to say about the program, and then we'll get into it.
The ID program is designed to help and find the diamonds in the rough. There's plenty of people that can teach you how to do it. But where are the people that's going to teach why you do it? When you do it? Where do you put the important things? What should your mentality be? Can you perform? Can you play a character? Can you be crazy? How do we keep the people from making the mistakes? That's what the ID program is designed to do, is to hold you to the fire and make sure that everybody's okay. It's not just, hey, we want to find talent. There's a bunch of great, credible schools across America that when people ask me, I say, where do you live? Oh, man, well, you live right there. You should go check out that. That's what the ID program is. They're identifying where you are, what the school is, and now you can go to one near you.
Beautifully and eloquently stated by Mark Henry. And here is something that you get to see as far as the ID program. Under the program, WWE will provide prominent independent wrestling schools with the WWE ID official designation, with the goals of providing new trainees and existing talent at these select institutions with enhanced development opportunities. Booker T's Reality Wrestling, Cody Rhodes' Nightmare Factory, Seth Rollins' Black and Brave Academy, Elite Pro Wrestling Training Center in Concord, New Hampshire, Knox Pro Academy in Los Angeles are the first WWE independent wrestling schools to earn the official designation. Additionally, WWE ID will identify top independent wrestling prospects with an official WWE ID prospect designation and support the developmental journey by providing financial opportunity and assisting with training, mentorship, and development, including access to world-class facilities, best-in-class ring training, athletic trainers, and more. That is the general consensus of what it is. I am tired of these people with the, they're killing the indies. They're killing the indies. Y'all could still do indies. Y'all could still do GCW or whatever local promotion. These are just what are defined within the program for WWE's ID. Like, if y'all want to learn and get to WWE, go flipping here. Y'all could still do the indies. The indies aren't going anywhere. It's just people are like, you know what? Oh, they're going to try to kill the indies. No, they're not. Shut your punk ass mouth. Paul Morales, take it away.
You know, in order to get to the major leagues, mm-hmm. you have to pay your dues in single A, double A, triple A. Mm-hmm. You know, and are there other leagues out there? Of course there are. It's not just the major leagues, the minor leagues, and then that's it. There are other leagues that are out there, you know, that actually the MLB actually promotes, then sponsors, from little league all the way up into high school, all the way up into minor leagues. It has its levels. This is exactly what WWE is doing. Are they trying to take over everything? No. It's just certain schools. They're not saying that they're taking stuff from Chicago. They're taking stuff from New York. They're taking that's not like conquering territories. What they're trying to do is identify certain ones, you know, certain schools that are out there and trying to give them an identity. They're not trying to corporately knock out everybody or nobody could work anywhere. No, it's just that if they find somebody and they say, yeah, you want to sign here, or if, in other words, if they want to sign with AEW and AEW wants them, yeah, you could sign with them. It's not saying, hey, you can't go here, you can't go there or anywhere. It's just them saying we sponsor these schools, these wrestling schools. That's it.
And people lost their minds and shit for nothing. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not going to hurt the indies. People always go back to NXT UK, and I know Robert mentioned this when we did our show, But it's like because Rev Pro and all these, I'm like, first of all, NXT UK was good, and then they just merged it with the NXT. You know, and unfortunately they got rid of it. You didn't see people bitching about that. Like they were grateful for their time. A lot of them went on.
Yeah, but why did they get rid of it? It was because of the freaking pandemic.
Yeah. Like what
because
the hell?
They weren't making money. That was all it was.
It was also the fact that somebody needed the money to pay for something.
Yeah, correct.
Oh yeah, somebody needed money to pay for something that he was doing wrong. Oh yeah.
This is true. This is very, very much true. But yeah, I don't see anything wrong with these independents.
No. And it can only be a good thing. I mean, to think that maybe WWE partners with GCW, you know, when you had Shayna Baszler doing Bloodsport,
the Creed brothers
doing it,
like, folks, this is a good time. Like, Triple H actually wants to work with people. We mentioned this last week. It's like, do you think that we would have ever seen the Motor City Machine Guns against the DIY in 2024? Because if this was 2008 or 9 or 7, even going back further,
I didn't have that on my bingo card to start the year.
No, you wouldn't have had it on your bingo card.
Or Motor City Machine Guns versus the Gorillas of Destiny.
Right. No.
In WWE.
Like, no, you wouldn't have seen that at all. Like, folks, this is a different time period. I think a lot of us, not us, but the mindset people still is they still go back to the Vince era. And I'm like, it's not the fucking Vince era.
And that's exactly how people identify everything. Oh, well, WWE's doing this. WWE's doing that. You want to know who else fucking does it? UFC.
Yep.
UFC is another place that actually goes around to different schools. And former UFC fighters who have schools in other places.
Huh?
Guess who fucking sponsors them? The UFC. So why is it a big deal that WWE is doing the exact same thing UFC does?
Yeah, Syndicate
because it's WWE.
Right. Look at Syndicate MMA in Vegas, friggin' with Ken Shamrock, and a lot of people that came from Syndicate MMA. Like, hello, people. Hello, people. It's just, yeah, it's ridiculous. But what's not ridiculous is look at this Europe tour going into WrestleMania. So
I like that.
March 14th, they're going to be in Barcelona, Spain for SmackDown. March 15th, they're going to be in Germany, 16th, Germany, 17th, Belgium for Raw. Geez. 21st, Italy, 22nd, Northern Ireland, England, the 23rd, Scotland, the 24th, the 28th, England, Vienna, Austria, the 29th, 30th, the Netherlands and Amsterdam, 31st, London, England. So I like it too. I really like that they're doing the European tour on the road.
I'm going to go to Amsterdam because I want to go smoke some weed there.
And also, do you want to get the Flugen like it's freaking?
And I also want to go down to the red light district just for that.
Flugenhagen.
That's right.
I like it. I like it too, guys. I think the international exposure going into WrestleMania this year is going to be epic. Like different territories. I'm loving it. I really, really love it. And I will say that a lot of us are loving. I'm going to put this into the forefront before we get into the NXT lineups and AEW lineup for Wednesday. Let's talk about AJ Styles because we don't want none. So AJ Styles talking about the TNA Hall of Fame. He says, I'm still an active wrestler. I hope. I made the decision not to go into the TNA Hall of Fame, not WWE. I appreciate TNA, but I don't want to go into any Hall of Fame as long as I'm still active. My choice. Yes, exactly. He's still an active wrestler. He doesn't want to go in the Hall of Fame yet. Will he? Yes. For TNA, absolutely. WWE, yes. But the man is an active wrestler. Let him just wrestle right now. It's not that he doesn't want to go in, but now is not the time. And I concur.
You know, people just want to think the worst of every fucking thing. And that's,
I know.
It's not just wrestling, it's anything. Like people just want to think the absolute worst.
That they do. That they do. And Paul, what are your thoughts on AJ Styles not wanting to go into the Hall of Fame right now and still being an active wrestler?
Hey, it's his decision. If he made the choice that he didn't want to go, who are we to fucking argue with about it? He's a fucking legend.
Exactly. And he still has a lot left in the tank right now. And I think when we get AJ Styles, when he does come back, him and Carmelo Hayes reigniting what happened based off what happened in their match, like you have a lot of stuff you could still do with AJ Styles. When he's all done and retired, I could see him like CM Punk in NXT helping coaching these kids or being around a lot of talent. You know what I'm saying? You have so many great minds, and AJ Styles has a phenomenal, pun intended, mind. So y'all let him make his own choice. When that day happens, it does, and we'll be here for it because, again, we cannot wait for both of those respective Hall of Fame speeches. And speaking of speeches and a lot, we're going to go to John Alba, Matt Hardy on the podcast here. So Matt tells a story about Chris Bay after his injury. As everyone was worried, Chris looked at Jeff and said, remember when you wrestled Randy Orton, did the swanton and raised your arm up? It'd be cool if I could do that. So somebody's been watching WWE 2008, so here's that clip.
Please. Like, we were all so happy at the end of the Full Metal Mayhem match, and I know for Chris and Austin it was like a dream come true. You know, they were in the main event of TNA's biggest pay-per-view. They were in there with the Hardys, the System. They were awesome in their role. That next night, like, we've become much closer, right, as we've been working very closely together these last few weeks. When he was in there, and it was a scary moment for all of us, and I'll never forget, he said, Jeff, this is while they're waiting on the backboard to carry him out. He said, Jeff, you remember when you did the thing with Randy, the big swanton? He said, wouldn't that be cool if I could raise my arm up like you did on the way out? Wouldn't that be cool? And he giggled a little bit, and Jeff said, oh my God. He said, man, there's healing in humor. He said, man, keep that attitude. And that was one of the sweetest moments, man, because we were all worried about him, and all of us were just like, oh my God, like, this poor guy, we want him to be okay. And he was willing and able to, like, make that joke and have some humor in that moment, and that went a long ways, and it popped all of us. And I think his mentality and his optimism is just off the chart, and I think that's gonna help him very, very much.
That is awesome to hear, man. That puts a smile on your face. And speedy recovery to Chris Bay, man, because he's been through a lot.
Man, a neck surgery, and he's had so much support. He's got a GoFundMe because the way it happened, and I know they're not really putting out a lot of videos, but the way that people described what happened, it's heartbreaking just reading it. Now, imagine having a video that actually shows you what happened, and you're just kind of like, but still, this young kid is going to come back even stronger, come back better than ever. But right now, it's just, we're in this moment to where we want to send his prayers. We are hoping that he just continues on that path after having surgery, on that path to recovery, and just have a life. Forget about wrestling. We're not talking about wrestling. We're just talking specifically about this man continuing his life. And, many, many heartfelt prayers to Chris Bay, man. I hope you get back, to 100%, but in time down the road. Right now, it's just in the present, live it one day at a time.
Agreed.
It's Chris Bay is one of those guys that there is something special about him, like when you see somebody that they have that it factor, that makes them unique. I hope he recovers fully, because you know what? The kid's got it.
He absolutely does. And I cannot wait till he does make his return tag team in X Division. He's got a great support system with his girlfriend, fellow professional wrestler Brittany Brooks, and everybody that supports him. Much love, much respect, and prayers as well to the family and to Chris Bay himself. So let's go, Chris. You got this, and we can't wait to see you back in a TNA wrestling ring. So speaking of wrestling and rings, final part of the show, we have a head-to-head this week because tomorrow is election day. People, get your ass out and vote. It's an important election. Do your part and vote. As the old campaign was, smack down your vote. This week we have NXT and AEW. We're going to just compare the lineups. So NXT has a hardcore match between Jada Parker and Lola Vice with Dawn Marie as a special guest referee. Yes.
More important is to where this NXT is taking place.
It's taking place at the old ECW arena, the 2300 arena. Thank you, Dan. Yes. So ECW representation. Huge. Dawn Marie is the guest referee for the hardcore match between Jada Parker and Lola Vice. First and foremost, if you would have told me that Dawn Marie, who hasn't been around WWE in 20 years, would have been back on a... Again, Paul mentioned the bingo card. I would not put this on my bingo card. That Dawn Marie...
The former Mrs. Al Wilson.
Oh, for God's sake, the former Mrs. Al Wilson. Well, again, Vince did.
It's okay because the other person that's actually showing up, I didn't have on my bingo card either.
Francine, who the last time we saw her in WWE was briefly during the ECW on Sci-Fi era, and she was on the house shows mainly doing bikini contests, which she hated. And again, under the Vince regime, they both were like, fuck this. And now Francine, who does have her own podcast now talking about ECW and memories, like she's going to be on this show, which again, if this was Vince, no, but now we got Triple H and Shawn in charge. Hell fucking yeah, we're here. We got Rob Van Dam on the show. We got little Guido Nunzio being involved with the Tony D. We have Bubba Ray Dudley and Trick Williams against Ethan Page and Ridge Holland. We have just announced Javon Evans versus Wes Lee. Let's freaking go. And the epic 10-man tag with Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, and Fatal Influence against Zarya, Stephanie Vaquer, Julia Kalani Jordan, and Jordan Grace. This friggin' show is stacked, and I cannot wait. I am for all of this. 2300 Arena at ECW. Go.
We just need one more thing.
Go ahead, hit me.
We need, ladies and gentlemen, his name is
Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman.
Let's go. I mean, Sandman's under a Legends contract. If we can get a Sandman appearance, yes, please.
Sober.
Yes. So sober. I like how you put that. Sober, yes. And this is
bring the beer. Like give Metallica whatever they want, just so we can have Enter Sandman just one time.
One Night Stand 2005, one of the greatest entrances in the history of entrance. Let's go back and watch that. It was hectic in the Hammerstein Ballroom. My goodness. And then you have the AEW side of things. So the confirmed segments and matches. The Hurt Syndicate will be live. We have the Patriarchy inviting Hook to meet them in the center of the ring, which again makes no goddamn sense. Christian and Hook are in the ring. Kip Sabian low blows him. I know why you did this. And then Christian gives the kill switch to Hook, and he's like, this is not what it seems. Okay. Again, makes no goddamn sense. That we have Adam Cole versus Malachi Black, which we saw at an NXT TakeOver back in 2019 pre-COVID.
Great match. Absolutely fucking killer.
Great match. But now we're just getting it on a random-ass Dynamite because somebody has got to win 3 matches to face MJF. Jamie Hayter versus Penelope Ford. Fine.
Why?
Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy against Claudio Castagnoli and Pac.
Okay.
And the aforementioned Fight Without Honor, the Learning Tree against the Conglomeration. Oh, they are going to get so smoked. They are going to get so smoked.
And they know it.
Oh, so that is NXT and AEW Dynamite's head-to-head this week. The stronger card with much made sense stories, and then you have AEW where it's just like fucking why. And also,
what NXT is doing by going to these smaller venues is working. When they were in St. Louis, that venue was perfect. AEW should be running in these smaller venues.
We mentioned that last week.
Yeah, we did.
I'll keep saying
it. What do you want?
They need to. They need to be in smaller venues because if not, then you're not going to get that crowd feel, that sudden rush that they should be getting, because it's when you have a 10,000 or 10,000 seat arena and you're really only filling up with about a little less than half of those people, then you're not going to get that feel. It's too big of an arena. You get it down to what they were doing in Texas, in Austin, in that small ass arena. Hey, that would be perfect.
And I mean, you're also going to get, they're doing the thing with Ricochet, and you got Konosuke Takeshita and bring Kyle Fletcher against Ricochet and a partner of his choice, however that's going to be. And I mean, if it's fucking Mark Davis, whatever. What was it? Mark Davis, right? Former Kyle Davis, whatever. So he came out to crickets on Dynamite because Kyle Fletcher and his Don Callis mini-me ass was like, I've seen the light. I'm coming for you. You still haven't heard a response. And then Mark Davis is like, I don't know who you are anymore, Kyle. I don't even know who you are anymore. And I'm like, I really, you have me not emotionally invested in this. I don't care. I know we're going to get Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay, but they have done nothing to make me go, Kyle Fletcher, hot damn.
But Did you hear who reached out to AEW and wants to be Ricochet's partner?
Donovan Dijak.
Donovan Dijak.
Woo.
T-Bar.
Fucking woo. And I don't mean to say that because I've liked Dijak from his matches with Keith Lee in NXT, from his feud with Moose in Ring of Honor. But he is just, it's not going to move the needle if you get fucking Donovan Dijak, but Tony Khan, I'll pay you.
That's another guy that really, really, really should consider going to TNA, because that dude could work with anybody. That dude is a fucking worker. I know he's doing the indie scene right now, and I understand he's making his money much like Matt Cardona. I understand that, but dude needs to fucking go to TNA.
Dijak and Moose?
Yes. Give me Dijak and Moose all fucking day. Giving him and fucking Josh Alexander all fucking day.
But yeah, that, again, we mention it every week, but
hold on. One more.
What?
Give me him and Nick Nemeth and fucking JBL come in and fucking clothesline him.
Oh, the clothesline from hell to Donovan Dijak. Yeah.
That would be one too. Anyways, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Like I said, folks, we say it every week, and we're not hating, and we're participating. We just want to. We're frustrated.
Dan over here just hating on everybody.
I hate everything.
He does.
Exactly. He hates everything.
But we're
I'm the Abe Simpson. Old man yells at cloud.
I see you. But no, we're at that point where we're just frustrated with this goddamn company, as you can tell by how we're so excited for this Wednesday's AEW on Dynamite. We got to do something better, because this ain't it. This fucking ain't it. But we shall see. Our predictions for Full Gear will be in a few weeks, because that's the next pay-per-view. I'll pay you. And then we have I'll pay you. Then we have Survivor Series. But yeah, thank you all for tuning into another edition. War Games. Thank you for tuning into another edition of the Weekly Review. We'll let Paul Morales go first. Paul Morales, where can we follow you on the social medias?
You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, and of course Threads, which is where else am I at? TikTok. Not porn. No, I'm not. Oh, TikTok. I'm not like Pornhub like this dude over here, but that dude over there. That dude over there. Yeah, the one on the end, the one on the first square. Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
that dude. Yeah. Anyways, you can find me at the Dead Men of RWT, of course, on TikTok, YouTube, and wherever, anywhere else. Just look me up and you'll find me, and I'm there. Twitter, Anyways, Dan, where the fuck can we find you at?
Let's go, Dan.
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube. Getting back on the YouTube, doing the pundit again. You have to redo the whole setup, make it look all spick and span, nice and shiny. Don't like come back unless you're doing it right.
All right.
Anything worth doing is worth doing 110%.
Agreed wholeheartedly. And do you want to promote the TSK? Because I know y'all are coming back better than ever.
We are coming back. We are taking over Max Wrestling this week. That'll be on, I think, this Thursday.
Yes.
Doing their whole thing. Taking over their show, where we will get the best numbers. Because it's us.
It's us.
And we are awesome.
Awesomeness. Awesome sauce. So links
everything is awesome.
Yeet.
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 So follow Dan there. Links will be in the description. If you want to follow yours truly, SM Show on MCL92 on Twitter, Larkin_92, M Larkin MB on Instagram, StephenMikeShow.com, LFCfights.com. Over 1,040 plus and change. Keep on subscribing, people, and you get great content like the weekly review, Uncaged with Dan and I, which we will be recording our finale of season 4 this coming week or within the next week with Robert and Nikla, talking about acknowledging Roman Reigns. And Paul will have you back on for season 5 as well. And you guys can check out Stephen Mike Show, Pop Culture History Podcast, LFC Podcast, On the Mic with Mike. Everything will be in the description. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you, the new 3-man team, as we're going to be doing this going forward. Welcome aboard, Dan. We appreciate you. We love you, my dude. For Paul Morales, for Daniel Crimmins, my name is Mike Larkin, and we will see you next time, and we will pay you.
We'll pay you!
We'll pay you!
We'll pay you!
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow.
The past is gone. Now's the future.